Hello and welcome to Photo Finds. I'm your host Kevin Yee, Orlando resident and frequent visitor to the parks. From me you can expect some kind of weekly update about the things that are new in the parks and what has changed since our last visit. This first time out we're going to go just to one park, and that's Legoland, the new kid on the block. This is located in Winter Haven, about 60 minutes south of Walt Disney World. Built on the former site of Cypress Gardens, so it'll look familiar to those of you who know Cypress Gardens already. As we work our way toward the entrance of Legoland Florida, which really is brand new here in October 2011, that is, we see some things like the Southern Bells, the old symbol of Cypress Gardens, at the entrance to the park. Working our way into the main plaza, we come across some of these famous Lego sculptures that you see, the strollers and lockers and the normal sorts of amenities you would expect. And I love this little souvenir for $25. You can get your family's picture kind of imprinted on these Lego blocks, and that becomes a really unique kind of puzzle that you can build at home. Into the buildings of Legoland then, the area they call the beginning, you've got the main shop at the exit, which is also the entrance, and then the restaurant right around the corner, which has little Lego figures that let you play while you're waiting to eat, as well as Lego figures kind of scattered around in front of almost every single shop here in the beginning area. This is Island in the Sky, which is a slowly turning kind of ride that elevates up. It looks fast, but it's not. It just gives you a view of the park that you're about to go. And we don't yet know what's going to happen with this area down here on the right. This was the former zoo area back when the park was Cypress Gardens. Double-decker carousel is our splitting point. Over to our left is Miniland, where we're going to end our tour today. We're headed off to the right, where we're going to find the Duplo area for little kids. They've got a playground here, some of the old Cypress Gardens rides, and a second playground outdoors. And then we work our way over toward the castle. You can see a couple different views of the castle here. It's not built out of Legos, as you can see. And once we get over toward into the castle, we'll find the Dragon. Those of you familiar with Legoland in San Diego know this ride already. It is a roller coaster, except it starts off as a dark ride, and you work your way through some of these scenes of, slightly animated or sometimes not even animated characters in a medieval setting. Turns out that the storyline is this dragon coming to get you, but the wizard will send you out into the outdoors where you ride the regular roller coaster and work your way back into the castle. Another one of the Legoland sort of iconic figures or iconic rides is the Royal Joust, which is this gently bobbing ride in a single rail here. Forestman's Hideout is just a kind of playground for the little kids over on the side. And then we're going to work our way then to Land of Adventure, which is Egyptian themed, as you can see, and the Lost Kingdom Adventure, which is the main attraction of the area, has also some of the figures on the outside, is really kind of a shooter ride. And you see these little yellow dots throughout these images here. Those are the targets that you shoot, and as you shoot them, something happens in the ride, and it's a really very engaging shooter dark ride for kids. Yet another playground, this one called Pharaoh's Revenge. Beetle Bounce is a little kids jump up and down ride. A little bit more of the theming in the area as we transition then to Safari Trek. These are the sort of slow-moving jeeps that go past scenes of African animals, and there aren't too many animals, or in fact much landscaping at this point in the evolution of the ride, but I'm sure that's coming. Coastersaurus is up next. This is the formal Triple Hurricane roller coaster from the area with Cypress Gardens. You do see some things like some dinosaurs here in the theming, and most of the ride is still the same. It is the Triple Hurricane roller coaster. One of the shows, the city stage, has the big test as we enter the quote-unquote the city zone of Legoland. First up will be Boating School, and here's an overview of it. These boats, as you can see, are free floating. You have to pilot your own boat without the benefit of a track. And as you go through, there are little Lego scenes, and sometimes they try to spit water on you. It's very engaging for the kids. More scenery here from the City Zone. Rescue Academy is a more interactive, kinetic kind of ride where you and several families here each get your own fire truck, and you pump on these handles to move your fire truck. You pump on these hydrants to generate water, and then your water shoots down a flame or something, and then you pump on your way back. It's all a big race, you see. Remote-controlled cars, because we're entering the car part of the city. This is the driving school up ahead, where they have a full-size Ford Explorer made out of Legos, not the one you can't ride. This is the ones that you can, like the Autopia from Disney parks. This is the self-propelled vehicles for little kids, and as you can see, they've got their own streets. They've got turn lanes, stop signs, yield signs, and even stoplights in parts of the city environment. It really and they show the kids how to obey the rules of the road before they ever get out on that track. And a little bit of the sense of humor of the minifigures around, there's a bank robber fleeing the scene. And still higher from there is flying school. You recognize the progression from boating school, driving school, now flying school. This is an inverted, that means legs dangling, roller coaster that was here back when the park was still Cypress Gardens. Down the hill slightly from there is another driving school, the Ford Junior Driving School. This is for littler kids who just work around an oval-shaped track, but they too have free driving cars. It's not on a track. Here's the Imagination Zone, which has 2 entrances there, lets you into the Racers Build area. They're also going to do the Hero Legos in there when they're ready. In the same Technics area here nearby the Imagination Center, and this is Adrian Jones, the park president, planting the golden brick on Media Day. And the golden brick, and I'll give you a close-up here, is the last brick designed to show that the park is now finished and ready to be opened. And they had a little ceremony with the grandson of the Lego founder. Right next door is the Aquas own Wave Racers. This is an attraction that spins you around and you control your wave racer a little bit, trying to avoid the explosions and the water cannons and so forth that are being shot at you. Kind of fun. A Wild Mouse roller coaster called Test Track in those early days. Now up here in the corner, after this picture was taken, they've added a sign that says Project X, so that's probably its new name. Here is a kid power tower. The kids pull on this rope to elevate themselves up, so it's a kind of a gentler kids kind of ride. And speaking of gentler, here we have a vista of what used to be Cypress Gardens, the island in the sky, the old ski stadium, in fact the ski show going on, and this still exists today. They kept parts of the park intact. And if we have a look at the park map, you'll see that the basic oval shape of the park is the same as it was when it was Cypress Gardens. Pirates Cove is the home to the water ski show and to this Captain Brickberg's Burgers. Just wanted to give you a sense of the prices, about $10, including your fries and soft drink. There's that ski show, which is now pirate themed, and they've got the minifigures out on the skis themselves. They're still performing tricks and stunts with the pirates. And this is Miranda, who is our heroine. She's the one who scares away Captain Brickbeard and the other pirates, eventually ending with a shark chasing Captain Brickbeard. You can go take pictures after the show is done. Just nearby is the Cypress Gardens garden itself. This has remained from the old days, and now there's a sign there proclaiming it to be Cypress Gardens. It's mostly unchanged, except perhaps for this, where you've got one of the Lego figures, again a Southern Belle, available for you to take pictures with. Even some of the signs in here still say Cypress Gardens Adventure Park, although right opposite this pathway was the Legoland Florida logo on benches, and you can find these benches throughout the park. Fortunately, the giant banyan tree, really the highlight of the gardens, is still there. And from the gardens you can catch a glimpse of that former water park which was attached. This is planned to be open at some point in 2012. From here we're going to transition past the waterfalls. We're going to see a couple of the Lego animals they've put in place here, and we're moving our way toward Miniland. Miniland is that famous Lego vista of buildings built around certain themes, and you'll see sort of from the overview that it's quite large. It spreads out over a big area, and many of these Lego, these are built with standard Lego blocks, so that's a lot of Legos used in constructing these. Many of these Lego buildings are taller than the people. Right? So here's a person way over here, and these Lego buildings tower way over them. So you can tell that it really took a long time and several years for them to build this Miniland, and it's a real highlight for both parents and for kids. Kids like imagining that they could build this themselves. Parents like sort of the fact that it's like a hobby railroad, that you can get some kind of realism and in some cases inside jokes packed into a small space like that, and it really can just take hours for you to marvel through all of the details. Now, as you've been seeing, as we've been flipping through these scenes of Miniland, it's not just famous cities. In some cases, it's also locations specific to our park. So the Legoland in San Diego may have California vistas. Here we've got a lot having to do with Florida. So there's Daytona. We saw Kennedy Space Center a few moments ago. We'll have Pirates and Pirate Cove, since that's the Caribbean is nearby. And here, by the way, while we're in the pirate zone, is the Golden Brick. We remember that story about the Golden Brick to finish the park a few moments earlier. Other areas of Florida, like poking fun at the miniature golf. They have famous scenes from Washington, D.C., and there's California with the Golden Gate Bridge and other parts of San Francisco. and then other parts of California like Hollywood, switching over to New York, New York City, the famous skyline and Times Square, and then another view finally of Washington, D.C., and the White House, Smithsonian, and so forth, and that continues our tour, or that finishes our tour of Miniland. This is going back into those buildings at the beginning just to complete the circle. This is the restaurant where you can get all-you-can-eat food for $11. It's pizza, salad, and pasta, probably the best deal in the park. The Funtown Theater is home to these 3D movies. They call them 4D movies because not only are they with 3D glasses, but they're in-theater effects like water and soap bubbles that look like snow. Minifigures are the names of these guys, and they're really trying to make a push for them to be something like pin trading for this park. And this is the Conservatory listed on the maps. It was a former butterfly garden. Legoland hasn't said what's going to happen with that yet. And we make our way over to the studio store where they've got a lot of Legos for Harry Potter, Legos for Star Wars, sort of the movie properties. The Lego Factory gives you a brief history of Legos and then a simulation of what a Lego factory does, such as creating the Legos, painting them, I guess, is what's implied by that. Legolands are famous for having these kind of decorations in their bathrooms, and so that gives it a little bit of quirk and just makes it feel like its own place. That concludes our tour of Legoland. I thank you for your time and attention, and as you'll see the slide in front of you, I'm an author of Disney books myself. I won't call attention to this week by week, but do join me again next week as we have a look at the parks and see what's new and give a close attention to whatever we can, whatever details we can find in the parks. Thanks again.